Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm sharing my process of drawing a quick study of the torso. I like to do torso drawings as warm-up for figure drawings, and this is just a way for me to share my approach with you. It's not intended to be a prescriptive lesson on anatomy. Instead, I just wanted to share a simple sketch and point out some of the things that I look for when I'm making a loose drawing like this. Hopefully this might help you in your own drawing practice, and if nothing else, it might be interesting to you to see a different process or a different perspective. For this drawing, I've left the link to the pose in the description below. I can't obviously share the photo reference, it's not mine to share, but definitely check out that video and pull it up, draw along with me if you can. It's a fantastic pose to draw, I will say that. Firstly, the model is amazing. The model is Andrea Morani. If you're not familiar with him, you can find out more about him on Instagram. I'll leave a link to his Instagram down in the description. And today I'm using a Conte à Paris pencil and I'm drawing on newsprint paper. So I'm so glad that you're here and that you clicked on this video. I wanted to start things out by saying I am sorry that I've been off radar. I haven't posted a video in a while, but happy to say that I am back and I hope to post much more regularly from now on. Please give this video a like, let me know that you're still around, still tuned in, and drop a comment below. Let me know what you're working on in your figure drawing at the moment. And I'd also love for you to join my Substack. I post weekly articles, I write about figure drawing, and I've started a daily drawing challenge that you can read about and you can join in if you feel like it. I'll leave a link to that in the description. So making a torso study is one of my favorite things to draw when it comes to drawing the figure. Doing some warm-up poses, doing some gesture studies, because there's so much complexity to uncover and to figure out within the torso, within this section of the body. I'll try to talk through the main points that I consider or that I look out for. So first off, the biggest challenge in this drawing, or when you first look at this pose, is that this is a really beautiful pose. And whenever you have like a fantastic, amazing model like this, there's always this pressure from the very beginning to want to draw a perfect drawing. But what I'd say is try completely to forget about the detail and the anatomical structure that you see. Try to forget about that at the very beginning and just look for an overall general shape. Aim to get down a structure that's accurate in terms of the tilt or the twist that you see in the pose, rather than focusing on accuracy in terms of anatomical details at the very beginning. So to do this, just make sure that you are checking things against either a horizontal or a vertical axis. You can, draw this on the photo reference if you want, or you can just try and imagine a vertical line going through the pose or horizontal lines. It's a really, really useful way to make sure that you're getting that general tilt or twist without over-exaggerating the pose, or, as is more often the case, without morphing the pose into a straight up and down pose with no twist. So that's the first major thing that I always try to figure out and try to plot very, very lightly on my page. I also will say at this stage, I'm trying to relate everything. I'll try and relate whatever it is that I'm drawing to something else on the model. So I'm making sure that, say, the shoulder lines up with the hips, or I'm always looking at how one section lines up or matches another section, and that in a way kind of ensures that I'm getting the proportion correct. Then the other thing that I look for is the major tilt in the shoulders and the pelvis. When you're making a torso study, this is nearly the most important thing to get right. And again, this can be really easily judged by simply imagining a horizontal line across the shoulders or a line that joins the shoulders. But if you imagine a horizontal line, that'll show you immediately the exact angle that you need to get. So then dialing into the underlying structure a little bit more, what I look for next is exactly where the rib cage ends, or where it starts and ends. It usually always starts up here around the pit of the neck, but where it ends in a pose like this is really important. You need to be aware of the separation of the rib cage and the pelvis, because that essentially defines the dynamic of the entire midsection. That separation will show us exactly how the body tilts to the left as we look at it in this case. I also try to judge the central line of the body, and by that I don't mean the center of the pose. I mean the actual line that goes from the pit of the neck to the navel. So on this pose, it's actually crucial because the navel is very close to the outer left edge of the torso, and that indicates a really strong twist. In fact, this is further evident then because if you look on this side, we nearly see the entire side of the torso. If you imagine this whole thing in terms of a boxy shape, we actually see that whole side. So it tells us that the body is twisting quite powerfully this way. If you were to draw the navel just even slightly to the right, it would visually disrupt that twist. It would sort of negate it and make it look as though the model is much more frontward facing. So that's something that seems very unimportant or, trivial, but it's something that I try to get correct. Finally then, shading can either make or break a drawing, and personally I'm not overly enthralled by heavy shading. That's just my personal thing. I know a lot of people go all out to shade their drawings and to make them very detailed and rendered in that sense. Personally, I prefer to see lines and shapes and less heavy shadows, but I think that's a topic for another day's video. All I will say in this video is that if you're tackling this pose, drawing the shadows is very useful for defining the muscle shapes. But I actually think that this pose is more about the subtleties than it is about the bold statements. So I would suggest that you look carefully at that tilt and that twist that I was talking about through the torso. Look at that first before you sort of attack shading. And I think you'll find that there's enough there to really push your drawing and to push your observation skills. All right, so those are the overall main points. Without getting into naming anatomy, naming muscles and things like that, I think if you hit these points first, then you'll have a solid foundation to build your drawing out. And I would just say do so very, very slowly. Make sure that you really take your time to build it up. So I'd love to know if you make a drawing from this pose. Please drop me a comment below. Let me know how you did, or if you make a drawing, post it on Instagram and tag me so that I can see your work. Before I sign off, I also wanted to remind you to join me on Substack. Don't forget I've started a daily drawing challenge there with my readers, and we're going to try and make one drawing a day. I'm going to share some prompts and some tips each week to help you, but the idea really is just to get our drawing practice up and running, get it flowing, and to support each other. And otherwise, I'll see you here in the next video.